Welcome everyone to today's Koç University webinar. My name is Melissa Abache. I am the Director of International Student Recruitment here at Koç University, and I'm extremely pleased about the activity we're going to be doing today because we have been wanting to talk to future medicine students about what makes our School of Medicine great, and from the mouth or from the perspective of our current international students. So today we've had a lot of interest in today's webinar. We will wait just 1 minute more for everyone who has signed up to join us. We are recording this webinar, so you will receive the recording after today's session via email if you registered, or you can also watch it later on our YouTube channel for Koç University International Admissions. So the topic of today's webinar is why study medicine at Koç University. And we would like to hear what your questions are for our panel of international medicine students, as well as for our professors. So also we are in the middle of our semester, of course, our spring semester. And our students are having some very important and stressful exams tomorrow on Saturday. So normally our presentations usually follow an introduction about the university and about the program. And then we have a session with the students and Q&A. In this case, we're going to flip that format and start by introducing our panelists and taking your questions. They will start to answer them, and that will finish around 5:30 or in 30 minutes after the start time. Then we will have the chance to introduce our professor who is joining us today from the School of Medicine, Professor Arzu Ruacan. And she will also be answering some questions that we prepared for her and a couple of additional questions from you as participants. To ask questions, please type them on the Q&A feature that you see on the settings on your screen. If you're joining us from a mobile phone or from your laptop, you can do that in either space. So without further ado, I'm going to start here. So today we have a very distinguished panel of 8 of our current international medicine students, and they're coming from 4 different countries. So we have here students from Azerbaijan, from Jordan, from Lebanon, and from Syria. So we're very proud of these students, and they are all in different years. So we have students who are in their 2nd year of the program, 3rd year of the program, and one of our students is also in his 5th year. He's about to start his last year, his internship. So we're also very excited to hear about his perspective of the program. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that we can now ask, let me put this here, so that we can now start asking our panelists to open their cameras, and I will start checking the questions. So I will introduce each of them so that you get to know them more. And you can also, as I said, start typing questions you may have. The questions you may have can be about their experience, how did they find joining the school, the 1st year, about classes, about how to prepare yourself to be successful in the program. Anything you want to ask will be, well, gladly received. At the end of the session, we will have a presentation about the admission requirements, deadlines, tuition, enrollment procedures, and more. And I will be answering those questions, okay? Right, so I'm going to, let me just check. I need to switch something here very quickly. Right. Okay, so let's see. So I hope you can see everyone now. Right, so I want to first introduce Joseph Marji. Joseph, do you want to say hello to the team? So Joseph is from Jordan. He's in his 2nd year of the program, and he completed his education in Jordan as well. We also have Nigar Bakshalieva, who is from Azerbaijan. She's in her 3rd year of the program, and she studied her high school education also in Azerbaijan. Hello. We also have Tarek Emir Chehab. Tarek is from Turkey and Lebanon. He's in his 3rd year of the program, and he completed his high school education in Saudi Arabia. We also have Ilaha Bakırlı. She's from Azerbaijan in her 2nd year of the program and completed her high school education in Azerbaijan. We also have here, let me just double check that I'm correct. I think he's here. Yes, yes. So we have Sharif Abbas. He's also from Jordan. He's our most senior student in this group. He's now in his 5th year, and in 2 months, he will be starting his 6th year of residency, his internship. So I want to ask some questions to him as well. He completed his education in Jordan. Also, Said Rahal. Yes, Said, you can see you here. Who is from Jordan. He's also in his 2nd year, and he completed his education in Jordan. Omar Algotani that we see on the screen here. I don't know what yours on the main screen. Let me see if okay, I fixed it now. Great, that works. So thank you, Omar, for joining us. He's from Syria in his 2nd year, and he also studied in Saudi Arabia. So we have a couple of students who completed their education in Saudi Arabia. And last but not least, we have Anas Abdo, who is in his 2nd year, also from Lebanon, and he completed his education, his high school education in Kuwait. So we have quite a diverse group today. And I'm going to now start reading your questions, and I will ask our panelists that if they want to answer that question, then to please unmute yourselves and you can answer, okay? If more than one of you wants to answer, that's absolutely okay, so that we have different perspectives. Okay, the first question from Rastin is regarding admission requirements, so I will answer that at the end after the panelist session. Let's check. Okay, so the first question from Sarah. Thank you, Sarah, for asking this. What do you like about studying medicine in Koç University? And the second question, very important, are you still content or happy about your choice, or do you have any regrets? That's a great question to start with. Very, very broad, right? Who would like to answer? Do we have any volunteers? Otherwise, I can start pointing. Sharif, I think. Oh.
No, I can't talk. There's someone in the room. They just left. So if someone else can, thank you. Yeah.
All right.
All right. So is it fine if I answer this question?
Yes, Nigar, please go ahead. Thank you.
All right. So the first thing for me is definitely the community. The community is very friendly, and we have, for example, in our class, we have 80 students, and there's at least 20% that are international students, and it's very nice. All the students, they get along very well. And also, I'll say the facility is also very good. All the buildings are pretty new. For example, the anatomy lab is, there's lots of models there. And also, well, definitely the weather. As you can see, like, it's very sunny. And for somebody who values like sunny weather and, you know, just needs sunshine in general, definitely come here. It's very nice. Yeah.
Great, thank you. So your international community, that you feel kind of welcome, and then there's people to meet and be friends with, the infrastructure that we have for classes and learning, and the weather. I do agree about the weather. How about some of our other panelists who would like to reflect?
I can answer this if
Thank
it's
you,
okay.
Omar. Yeah.
I mean, in terms of the teaching, it's like one of the best teaching universities in all of Turkey, of course. And I've noticed that myself while studying here. Professors are one of the best, and they're really good at what they do. In terms of the campus itself, the view is amazing. Like, you'll know it when you come here. Like, it's all greenery. It's in the middle of a forest, so it's fresh air. There isn't any city noise or like city disturbance when you're living in a city like Istanbul. You don't really have a lot of sound pollution here. It's really quiet. It's beautiful weather, as Nigar said. And that's my take on it.
Thank you, Omar. Thank you. I can take a couple more perspectives on this. What do you like? And the other question, like, do you regret the decision?
Okay, I can.
Yes, Joseph.
To what my friend said. So, yeah, Koç University is different in terms of medical education. Having low number of students is good to concentrate on the student's well-being. You can easily reach the professor. There's always communication. You can always reach your suffering. You can always reach your questions. Everything the professors way easier than other universities, which has way more students there. In anatomy labs, you get the chance to dissect yourself, to learn the skill of dissection, which is not found in many other universities. And also having the opportunity to live 2 campuses at the same time, live the first 3 years in this campus with all the students, all the different faculties, and then live the other 3 years in the hospital environment. And most other universities in Turkey and other countries, they focus on having the medical school near the hospital, away from the main campus of the university itself. This means the students will live in the same campus for a long while, and the same environment, the same community. But in this case, yeah, it has more chances. So I think, yeah, I'm still content with my decision in terms of studying Koç University and in terms of choosing medicine in Koç.
Great. That's a point that I had never thought about, the fact that, yeah, you do get more opportunities to widen your network because you're in 2 campuses throughout the 6 years. Thank you, Joseph. That's a novel kind of perspective. Anyone else before I move to the next question? No? Okay. All right. So I'm going to go through the list here. Wow, there's a lot of questions now. That's great. So thank you, Sarah. I'm going to mark this as answered. Okay, a question from Rahaf. What would you warn people about or tell people to keep in mind before studying medicine? So now that you're medicine students, things you didn't expect or didn't know about when you were applying for admission to medical schools and on making the decision, like words of wisdom, let's say. Oh, sorry.
I can take this question.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So one of the warnings is that I think you need to make sure that you really want to get into medicine, because it's a very demanding and stressful course. It's a 6-year program, so it's a very big commitment. And once you get into that, it's important to be able to stick to studying and keep going for the whole 6 years. And I recommend familiarizing yourself with the major. So maybe if you have a chance to go to a hospital and shadow a doctor doing their work before starting your education, that would be a good opportunity to see if it suits you, if you can see yourself being in their position. And it's also a chance for you to learn about the skills that you might need during both your medical education on campus and as well as your time when you move to the hospital in the 4th, 5th, and 6th years. So I think it's important to familiarize yourself with what you're getting into.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tarek. There was a similar question from Naz asking if there's any specific required courses students should take in high school. That's kind of an admission question, but I'm going to rephrase it for you as panelists. Did some of you feel, for example, were there any of you that didn't take, for example, biology, chemistry courses? Did you feel that that was a hindrance, or that it kind of made it harder for you to adapt in the first few courses that involved biology, chemistry, if anyone, but I think most of you, yeah.
If I can answer this one, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to, like, for me, I took A-level biology in my high school. So that gave me the advantage in like the first year, I would say, because some of those courses were similar to the stuff we took in high school.
Mm-hmm.
But from the second year, and I assume onwards, it's going to be a completely different curriculum, and nothing really you could take that would help you that much, as it's going to be really human anatomy or like human oriented medicine. But the stuff in high school is usually general and vague, and it's not really specific to the stuff we're going to take in second years all the way till 6th year.
Yeah.
So if you're taking A-level biology, it'll help you understand more, it'll help you comprehend more, it'll give you a better idea of what you're going into. But don't really worry about that in high school. Like, just worry about getting in, and then you can worry about the courses there. They're very manageable if you work hard enough.
Exactly, that's the key, working hard enough. Sharif, you want to contribute to this, yeah?
Yeah, so what I would say in regards to this question is all courses in any university in the world are designed such that a person who does not have a background in that course can manage to succeed in that course somewhere or another. So it depends on your work ethic more than anything else. If I was you, I would work on my Turkish more than anything else if I'm planning to come here and join the university. You can manage biology, chemistry, anything else if you just work hard enough. But if you don't start early on your language, that's where you're going to have problems. Time comes, second year even, third year onwards, you're going to have problems. So I would say work on the language part.
Excellent advice, Sharif, and thank you. Yes, I mean, the program is offered in English in terms of the teaching and classes, materials, but students do need to learn Turkish very quickly in order to be ready by the time they will start their clinical courses and interacting with medical patients at the Koç University Hospital. So that's great advice, Sharif. Thank you for offering that. There's a question from Ece. What are the opportunities for research? I'll touch upon this in my part of the presentation, but I will put the question to our panelists as have you started to become involved in some research activities now that you're students, and can you reflect on those opportunities? Like, how did you find them? Was it easy or not to find those opportunities? So anyone who would like to. Let's see. I guess Joseph and Sharif. Yes, Sharif, let's start back with you. Okay.
Okay, so I would say that this is one of the very strong suits of this university, honestly, and I'm speaking objectively, I would say. It's because since first year, you're going to have biology and chemistry courses and other courses that will really strengthen your writing abilities in research. So that's for first year. And then as for opportunities, you do have lots of opportunities. The nice thing about this university is that the student to instructor ratio, or the instructor to student ratio is really high. So your chance of finding an instructor, whether that would be a doctor practicing in the hospital or a professor or an associate professor who's interested in research, is really high. Myself personally, I'm interested more in clinical research than bench research or like lab research. And I found that there are many opportunities for someone who's interested in clinical research. I'm going to leave Joseph to talk about the bench research more, as I'm now at the hospital.
Thank you, Sharif.
No worries.
Just to add up to what he said exactly, this university is, since I entered, I could easily tell how much research is an important aspect in this university, way differently than other universities. The concentration they put on your research. Since first year, as you said, they prepare you to do research, and you have even the opportunity to join any researchers. I did even start in first year, and the second year, third year, we have this research days where they allocate you to lab researchers. Well, that's first of all an opportunity where you interact with research itself. You go there to do experiments and stuff and start to write papers, abstracts, and help in it. But that's just to help you, to force you to work on research. And you'll also have the opportunity to join any research. There are a lot of options where you can start your own research if you have an idea, and the university is built for that. So yeah, that's
Great. Perfect. Thank you. So it starts from day one. Yes, Sharif?
I would also like to advise that student who asked the question to just go on the website of the university and look at the names of any professors who are written on there, and then go onto PubMed, just write PubMed on Google and search the professor's name on PubMed. You can see all of the publications that each professor has, so you can know which professors are active in research and which are not, and you can even see the topics that they're researching about. So that can also give you an objective view of how active each professor is in research and what they're doing exactly. So that's also a suggestion.
Great. And that would help you to identify who you want to approach to ask
Exactly.
for an opportunity to join their lab or their group or a specific project, right? Thank you.
No
Great.
worries.
Mar?
Yeah, one point I want to raise is that professors here are very approachable. They're not, you know, some students have this idea where like, oh, I can't talk to the professor at all, or they're gonna kill me if I talk to them. It's actually the opposite. They advocate for you to talk to them. And if you come to them with any good idea, they'll always be accepting and ready to listen and work with you and help you however they can to the best of their abilities, which is a really good point about the university.
Right, it's very good too. All right, so we
Just,
have
okay,
more
if I can add
questions.
something.
Yes, I.
Yeah, the thing is about this university is that they also like promote the idea of research by basically like in the beginning of each year, each medical year, they basically make a very long panel, let's say, where many research ideas are being basically given for the students, so they can basically choose one or something like an idea, basically, let's say, to or work with a professor, so they can hone their skills and basically could basically like let's say build an idea from themselves to do research. And also in the schedule itself, like if for the entire year, 1 day in a week is basically allocated for research, so that the student can basically use a bit of their time, or basically use their free time to basically hone their skills, or basically research by themselves, and etc., or go to the labs and see how the work is done there personally, which is a very good aspect of this research program.
Great, thank you. So there are structured, opportunities to match yourself with a group or a project. Yeah, Sharif.
Okay. I know we talked about this a lot, so I don't want to go on longer, but finally I'd like to say what also Zaid said is that in the like, okay, so you have 7 days a week, right? 5 days a week you have classes. One of those 5 days in second, third, and fourth year, you must go to research, and each student is allocated to a professor or a doctor. So you are basically being given that opportunity. You don't have to go after it and like, I don't know, ask many professors to work with them and try to find the opportunities. You're basically being given those opportunities, and you're given 1 day a week guaranteed for 3 years. So it's one of the requirements of a medical student at our university to also have some research background and do research once a week. So that's also something very different between our university and other universities in Turkey, at least.
That's great. Yeah, some of the questions that I've been kind of checking here also point about what are the differences that you consider there are between our School of Medicine and other medical schools in Turkey. And I think research is one key kind of differentiating factor. I have another question. I think it's going to be for Sharif too, because Hajira, she's asking, does the university provide support for the USMLE exam? So you may be getting closer to that point where you're now thinking of next steps after you finish your internship. So do you have any experience? Have you started to ask about this?
Okay, so basically with the USMLEs, I do think that Koç University is, in my opinion, in my objective opinion, the best university in Turkey when it comes to USMLE preparation. The reason for that is the following. Education in the university when it comes to preclinical and clinical is tailored towards the American system. It's tailored towards the USMLEs. It's not tailored towards TUS, which is the USMLE equivalent in Turkey. That's why I do believe that the whole preparation over the 6 years is good for the USMLEs. That's number one. Number two, all of the exams when you come to clinicals, so 4th, 5th, and 6th years, they are exams that are bought from outside of Turkey. They're bought from the United States, and they come closed, so not even the professors can see the questions. And those questions are written by the same company that writes the USMLE Step 2. So you are subconsciously or unconsciously preparing for the USMLE Step 2. So Step 2 is in the bag. When it comes to USMLE Step 1, I do believe that the basic sciences part of our university is taught well. It's good. I'm preparing for my Step 1 right now, and I'm planning to give it in about 2 months' time. And I saw throughout my preparation that I do have a good base, even though I'm not like a top 3 student in my class. I'd say I'm a top 6, 7 student. But still, I do believe that I have a good base of knowledge thanks to my university. When it comes to financial aid, you would have to, or I would hope that Miss Melissa can help you with, because this changes from year to year. But what I know is that last year we were given the chance to apply and send like CVs and personal statements to the faculty, and then they would choose one student or 3 students, I forgot, who would get support for their USMLE examinations, and they would get it paid off by the university. So as for you, that's a good question, and that's all I can say about it.
Thank you. That's very comprehensive. So that's great. I do have some statistics on my presentation about the pass rate for our students, which is 100% basically for step 2, and the average scores that they achieved in the step 1 and step 2 examinations. So well, all the best in the preparation in the next 2 months, Sharif. So there's a lot of questions, and I want to make sure that we stick to time. So let me just check questions. Okay, let's see. There's a question from Salah. Can you provide an idea about those that already graduated? Where did they go after this degree? Where did they continue their specialty? This may not be exactly a question for you, but you may have heard from friends who are also in the program who graduated. For example, if most chose to stay in Turkey, or to go to the US, or go back to their countries for their specialty, or for other career options.
So I would say I cannot give specific percentages because it changes. But I can talk about my class. I'm in 5th year right now. I'm going to my intern year in about 2 months' time. And by this stage, most students know where they want to go in the future. I would say maybe a rough 20% want to go to Germany, probably. It's because lots of them know German from high school. So for them, it's just much easier to go to Germany. And then maybe 10 or 15, no, I would say 15 or 20 students want to go to or want to stay in Turkey. And then maybe 6 or 7 students want to go to the US. Some end up going to the UK. So like maybe 3 or 4 students in my class want to go to the UK. As for students who have already graduated, the majority stay in Turkey. Some of them go to Germany, and some of them go to the US for research, and then they end up starting residency there. And some of them go to the UK. So I would say the 4 main countries are Turkey, US, Germany, and UK.
Great. Okay, perfect. Thank you. I think there was a similar question from Mahmoud. So I'm going to mark it as done, because he was asking about what are the opportunities in the UK, US, and other countries. There's a great question from Noor. How much time do you believe your average student spends studying and doing assignments during the week? I would like to hear maybe from some of our panelists who haven't participated yet, maybe from Anas or Ilaha, to get different perspectives, because you guys are in different years. So how much on average do you think you guys spend studying during the week? Ilaha, yes.
I think it depends on the person. Like you can spend a whole day for studying if you want, but like in my opinion, during our 2nd year, like we have classes from morning till evening, so you can come and study on daily basis, and you can do revisions on the weekend, because it's much more helpful during the exam time, and you don't spend so much time for learning new materials, and you are just doing the revision. So I think like it depends on the people's ability, or I don't know, like planning, time management situation, but you have to study on a regular basis.
Okay. Any other, maybe different views on this? I think Sharif typed his answer, said, very subjective, but it's manageable, right? I mean, one thing I always have observed from our students, not only in medicine, but especially in medicine, is that you guys are very good at time management because you're able to cope with your classes, but also participate in things like today. So I really want to thank you for that and that ability. So let me just check here. There's a very interesting question here. I've heard things from previous students about issues with classism in the university. Do you think this issue is apparent, or what would you say about this issue? Like, is there some type of,
The meaning of the word, I don't know the word.
Classism, I guess, maybe referring to this. I don't even think it may be referring to discrimination, or if there's different kind of cliques or groups.
Discriminate based on what? It could be
Class, but the class is a very, kind of, it's a term we are not in the UK. It's a very kind of normal thing, but yeah. Joseph, yes, you raised your hand.
Yeah. Well, I don't say there is any classism or just like, on the other hand, Koç University, I would say the community itself on campus, at least, I didn't see the community on the hospital. Well, on campus, the community with other faculty members, other students, and everyone. Community is one of the, I would say, cleanest and most high class and pristine community I would ever see in terms of honesty between students, the respect. I don't know, like in terms of people dealing with each other. Only thing I would say, like when it comes to medicine, when it comes to us in second year, we're always together in the same class, low number of students. I wouldn't say this is classism or anything, but I would just say that as second years and international students, you speak less Turkish, or you're still learning most of the time. Of course, you would interact with Turkish students less. So I would say it's just not classism. It's just that Turkish students would interact with Turkish students more, and internationals would interact with internationals more, because most of Turkish students find it hard to speak in English when in their free time in between classes. So no, it's not classism. It's just them needing to communicate with each other in their own language, or with the language they're comfortable with. Otherwise, no, in terms of respect, there's no discrimination, high class of respect. Yeah, I think in terms of that, no, we wouldn't see that here.
I think Omar wants to also share his thoughts on this.
Yeah, I would just like to say that it's something natural that usually happens. Like, people tend to clump up with people they're familiar with, or they're close with, or they have like some common stuff with. Like, for example, in my class, like the Arab students, they come together, for example, and they have certain groups. And then like some Azerbaijani students, they come together and make some sort of fun groups, social groups. But that doesn't mean we don't interact with each other at all. It doesn't mean we just hate each other. That's not what this is about. We're all talking when we need to. We're all having fun when we need to. There isn't any sort of hate. It's just that's how things usually go in any situation. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. There was a question from Suat asking if there were any differences between the programs of international students and Turkish students in the university. The answer is no. In the case of medicine, both groups are in the same classroom, being taught by the same professors, the same material, same schedule, same everything. But as a couple of our panelists have said, it is important to start learning Turkish as soon as you enter, if you don't have any grasp of the language, so that by the time you will need it for your clinical courses, then you are fully ready to cope with those specific language skills. There is a question about exchange programs, and to Hajira, yes, I do realize there was an issue with the website for our Office of International Programs. The table wasn't working, now it's working. But the question to you, as our panelists, is did you consider doing exchange during your, or are you considering doing exchange during your program? If so, I mean, has anyone kind of considered this as an option? Yes, Nigar, I think you raised your hand.
All right. Yeah. So from what I know, my friend actually applied for Erasmus exchange. She's also from medicine, and she actually got accepted for it. But then when she had to, when she was already doing the documentation, she realized that because the programs are quite different, just like in any medical university, It's not like other degrees where they're pretty much similar. But in medicine, it's very important to have the same curriculum, because the curriculum was different. If she went for 1 year to exchange, then once she came back, she had to redo the year. So you can do it, but then most likely you'll have to redo it, because it's very hard to find a university with the similar program.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Nigar. Let me just check if, okay. There's a lot of questions and I'm mindful of the time, because I told you guys you would be able to go after half an hour because of your exam tomorrow. I just have, there are some questions that I will be able to answer. There are some that I want to pose as a last question for you. Let me just see if I can find it very quickly. Why coach from a purely medical aspect? I mean, some of you talked about the infrastructure of, for example, being able to have a lot of opportunities to dissect, but from a medical aspect, why coach? Sharif.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk about the clinical side, and I'm gonna leave the basic science side to my other fellow panelists. When we're talking about medicine at Koç, I am proud to say that it is amongst the top 3 in Turkey. It might even be top 1. Why is that? It's because we have very strong research. We have some of the best researchers in Turkey, and some of them are amongst the best in the world. We have some of the best doctors in the world. For example, one of our doctors, you can search him up. I'm proud to say that I work with him. His name is Fatih Aslan, and he came up with a new technique for endoscopy. And he now teaches it all over the world. He goes and teaches students, and even he teaches doctors all over the world. So we have the best doctors in Turkey, I would say, or some of the best. Also, I would say that the instructor-student ratio is the best aspect of medicine here. I know all of the professors and all of the doctors who taught me personally. We go out to dinner with them after exams. We do activities with them. It's like a high school vibe, but you're studying medicine at the same time. So I think that's very healthy for students. Also, all of our practical exams are conducted in a form called OSCE, and that's the form that's done in the US. OSCE stands for Objective Structured Clinical Examination. So the medical school, they actually pay actors to come in, and they act like patients. And we sit down with them one-to-one in a room separately, every student. And you are being watched from outside the room by a professor or a doctor, evaluating your work and how you examine the patient and how you talk to the patient. So this is something that I believe it does not exist in any other university in Turkey, to this extent, at least. What else? I do believe that our hospital, since it has some of the best doctors in Turkey, it's equipped to deal with the most advanced cases. And that's why we get patients with weird diagnoses, weird diseases, being transferred to our hospital from other places who could not deal with them. So you get to see weird cases and weird diagnoses, I would say. What else? I'm not sure. At the end of the panel, I'm going to leave my LinkedIn so that if
Great.
anyone wants to text and ask, but that's what comes to mind, at least for now.
Thank you very much. That's a great idea, Sharif. And I think you're an inspiration for all of our future students in terms of how to get there. You're almost done, and we're of course extremely proud of you, because you're from one of our smaller cohorts. The later cohorts are a bit bigger in terms of the number of international students, so I'm sure you had to navigate a lot of firsts in your program. So I want to thank you for that. All of the other questions so far that I've seen are more admission related. Some of them are related to, for example, the national exam in Turkey. I'm going to pose that question to our professor, who's going to be next in the program. And I think there was a question about how are you learning Turkish? So for those of you who had to learn Turkish from scratch, instead of how, what's your key tip, your key recommendation to learn Turkish as well and as quickly as possible? Omar, yes.
I think the actual thing that will excel your progress in Turkish is interacting with Turkish students. You're going to have a lot of Turkish students here, and just going and speaking and having the courage to speak with them in Turkish instead of English, and interacting with them and just being amongst them. is the best tip I can give you, best piece of advice.
Great. Any other, yes, Sharif?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm like answering the
No, no,
question.
it's okay.
I'm sorry if I'm bothering any other
No,
fellow
no.
panelists, but I would say I can maybe help in that topic because I'm almost fluent now, and I do not experience any problems at the hospital when it comes to Turkish. I think that it depends on your linguistic intelligence. So some people might need 2-3 years of going to a course twice a week in order to learn the language, and someone else might just learn the language without even taking any course, just from interacting with people and learning from them. I would say I would support Omar with what he said. I would say the best tip is not to isolate yourself, which is not easy, especially if you're in a batch or like you're in a class where you have lots of international students. You will want to stay with them, but I would say just befriend everyone, especially Turkish students, and don't be shy. If you say something wrong in Turkish, they're going to be the first ones to fix what you said, and they're going to be understanding. Just imagine yourself seeing a foreigner saying any word in your language. You're going to be excited. You're going to be very happy because they're putting in an effort to learn your language, especially Arabic, which is mine. If someone who's a foreigner just comes up to me and says a sentence in Arabic, I would go crazy. It's amazing. So that's how you should think of yourself when you're trying your best to learn the language. Don't be shy, befriend everyone, and work on it early, because if you have bad Turkish, your clinical experience will be severely limited, I would say. So that's what I have to say about this topic.
Great. Thank you so much, Sharif and Omar, for those great advice. So I think I want to make sure you all pass your exam tomorrow and I don't take more time away from your study schedule. I want to thank you so much for taking the time. You're free to leave us for today, our panelists, and I'm going to now ask, and thank you so much, and please let me know how it went on your exams. I will now ask Professor Arzu Ruacan to join us for this part of the Q&A for today. So I had prepared 3 questions for you as a faculty member, which are often asked to us as an admissions office, but I feel it's better if it comes from you as a faculty member. There is one question that we're often asked is, what are you looking for in future students? What makes a good medical student that can succeed at Koç University and a good future doctor? That's the first question.
Hello, everyone.
I'm so sorry, and I wanted to introduce you to the group, and I do have a slide.
Okay.
Because, yes, let me just do that very briefly, because again, Professor Ruacan is one of our top professors in the School of Medicine, an extremely busy person. So I'm very thankful to her for taking the time to join us. So Professor Ruacan, she has been at Koç University since 2012 in the Department of Medical Pathology. Before that, she spent also a long period of time at the School of Medicine in Hacettepe University, also here in Turkey. And she obtained her medical degree, her MD degree, from the School of Medicine of Ankara University, and then her medical pathology residency from Hacettepe University in Turkey. Her main areas of clinical interest are related to head and neck pathology, hemopathology, viral oncogenesis. She's a prolific author of many papers, including papers that have been published in internationally recognized and domestic scientific journals, and has won several awards in research, both in the national and international arena. At Koç University School of Medicine, she's had several roles. One of the most important ones is that she's also the person doing everything to make sure the school is accredited nationally by the Turkish, by the Medical Education Accreditation Body of Turkey. I'm sure I'm getting the name wrong in English, but I will get it right later on. And that's a huge administrative job for faculty members, and one that we greatly appreciate. She's also the grade 3 coordinator at the School of Medicine. She also received an award for Best Teacher in the 2015-16 academic year, and she's a member as a head or in different positions of several national and international scientific and professional bodies related to pathology. So thank you so much, Professor, for joining us today. So back to my question. I will now stop sharing my screen.
Okay.
And
You said, what do you observe students that excel of our school, I think.
Mhm.
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me. And I think we have not too much time. I just want to
No,
very
but it's okay.
briefly.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Well, as you know, our students come from among the most successful students from the top 1% of the international entrance exam. So they are really, when they come here, they are really motivated, dedicated, intellectual, and creative students. And they are already successful students, actually, and when they arrive to our school. And we try to ensure that they become excellent doctor and good professional by providing a high quality education with high quality, very experienced faculty members and advanced research infrastructure and communicating with them very, very closely. We take care to deal with each of them, each students individually, actually. This is very important. Communication, in my opinion, communication is really very important with the students. So we support them to advise them and we guide them to be excellent doctors. We do this and they are really successful students in our faculty. Yes, I just wanted to say this.
Yes, perfect. Yeah. And another question that we often get asked is that I want to pose to you is, what do you consider to be the most difficult or challenging aspects of being a medical student and in the future being a doctor? So some of the things that people may have a kind of idealized vision of what a doctor is and what they do. But in reality, there may be also not so great aspects of, you know, being a medical student and then a doctor. So
Yes.
in your experience and interacting with students, what do you find those aspects are?
Well, medical school is hard. And I think the most difficult aspect during the university time is the time management. Also, our panelists said this about this time management. As you know, the amount of knowledge that one is supposed to learn in medical school is huge. And, you know, medical knowledge also changes very rapidly. And it can be hard to catch up if you take a long break. So the time management during the university and after, if they can be a doctor, also at that time management is really important thing in their life. But however, we also provide support for the time management in Koç University. So we can manage our students. Another common issue is social isolation, I think. If you are used to getting a lot of social life, having plenty of time with your friends, with your family, and if you attend lots of parties, you will probably miss when you come to school, when you start medical education. Also in your doctor life. It's a little bit difficult, but in Koç University, again, is a very rich university in terms of social, cultural, and sportive opportunities, I think. And most of our students can participate in many of these activities. So in their school life and in after graduation, the time management is very important. They can do everything together very well.
Exactly.
And in also during the during the university. Another difficult aspect, the fourth year, perhaps, because this is a big transition. When they go to the fourth year, they will work in the hospital and they will interact with patients extensively. And this brings a little bit challenges about the communication, professionalism, workplace relationship. However, since we provide communication skills and history taking, physical examination training in the hospital, starting from year 2, actually. So they need Turkish also in year 2, because we send them to hospital to take a training about these skills. So our students generally don't have much difficulty in this regard. So even they want to be in contact with patients more. So these are the, I think, most difficult aspects in their life.
Okay, all right. Thank you. So that's a very comprehensive answer. The last question I wanted to pose to you today was partly answered by our students, but I also want to hear maybe from your perspective as a faculty member who works at Koç University and in the hospital. What do you think, how are we different from other medical schools in Turkey? I'm not saying better or worse, I'm saying different, like what makes it different.
Different. Well, I think most important difference from medical faculties in our country is the core program. Because medicine students take the core curriculum in the first year. And this program is unique. The other faculties don't have this program. And this program is, contain 7 knowledge areas like humanities, social sciences, natural sciences, ethics, etc. I think you will explain. Yes. And this program, it's an education approach for this program that aims to prepare students for life, for their professional career, for the best way. So this is, I think, very important difference from other faculties in Turkey. And also our panelists said a lot about the research program. We have a very nice research program in our faculty. So this is important difference, we give a lot of importance to research. If you are studying medicine, it's very important to have a research background. And science in medicine is changed very rapidly. And in this research background is very important in terms of following innovations and correct information. So we have lots of high-tech, actually, research labs in Rumeli Feneri campus and also in the hospital. And on the first day of the second year, the research conducted in our faculty and with other faculties of the university is introduced to the students. And they are allowed to take a part of the research they want. So every student in our faculty are required to do research. This is mandatory. They are clinical research, lab research, or social research. They can choose any one of them. So therefore, all our students have a research experience when they graduated. And also they can present their works, their research during the research days. And also they are given the opportunity to present their research in national and international congress. We support them about this. And also they have great opportunity to go to other universities for the summer research fellowship, because we have lots of faculty members, they have a lot of network. And because of this, our students, if they want, they can go different places all around the world. And so we have a really nice research program. As they said, the panelists said, our students said that in year 3 and year 4, year 2 and year 3, we have one day. We don't have any lectures in that day. All students go to research lab to make their research. And also we have high quality experienced faculty members devoted to education. They really work very hard about the medical education. So we have a very high quality education and clinical training. And for example, they talk about our students get excellent score from the USMLE, from the United States Medical Licensing Examination. And they ask some questions about the TUS, I think,
Yes,
Turkish
I was going
nation.
to ask you about this.
Our students mostly in the 5th or 6th year, they go to courses. There are TUS courses. So they go to these courses during the 6th or 5th year.
Okay.
So I think in summary, the differences, the core program, very important research program, yes, very detailed. And so every students make this research, and also high quality education. And also we have a highly equipped hospital and a wide range of patients. So these are differences from other faculties, important things.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Great, perfect. So there was a question, I'm marking it as done because you just answered them about the TUS exam. So I think I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to our participants today.
Thank you
I
very
also
much.
know that your time is limited, so I want to let you go for now. And I will now continue with the more kind of formal presentation about the School of Medicine, admission requirements, and so on.
Okay.
But
I just want a few words about being a doctor.
Yes, yes, please, yes.
Yes,
Very important.
Yes, it's really very important because actually patients share their concerns with the doctors, with you, and to be trusted to this extent by anybody, I think it's a great honor. And another thing I want to say, being a physician is making a deep, effective difference in your patient's life. And doctors are going to significantly make improvements, the quality of life of their patients. So this is really satisfying feeling. And actually medical school is not easy, but after being thanked by a patient, it's certainly worth it, I think. So it's a very good thing in doctor's life, I think.
Exactly, that's absolutely the balance, right? It's a lot of sacrifice for many years.
Yes.
But what you get
a lot
in
of work.
Yes, a lot of work, but every day you can feel the appreciation.
Yes, it's a very important thing.
And you can see the impact that you're having through your work immediately or nearly immediately in many cases. So absolutely, not all professions have that privilege. So I can concur on this. So thank you so much. Those are very inspiring and positive words to finish this section.
Thank you very much. I wish all students all the best in their future education. Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Professor. Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, so now we will continue with our presentation about Koç University and the School of Medicine. So I know you have a lot of questions about the program, the admission requirements, and we are going to cover, hopefully, I will answer hopefully all of your questions through my presentation. Just a very, very quick introduction. Koç University is located in Istanbul, and Istanbul is a very large city that it's also very complex. You cannot fully grasp all of the different dimensions and good things, not so great or difficult things about the city from one visit. So the first thing that I always ask future students, if you have the chance to come to Istanbul before you choose to study here, it's always a good idea so that you can really get a sense of whether this is a city that fits your particular preferences for for living here, because if you're a medical student, you're going to be spending about 6 years of your life here. But it is great. I have been here for 12 years now, and it's a great experience in every sense. We, as a campus, in the case of medicine, we have 2 campuses, and students spend the first 3 years in our Rumeli Feneri campus, which is located on the European side of the city. Istanbul is always described as the city that bridges east and west, because we have one part on the European continent and another part of the city on the Asian continent. So our main campus, where all of the faculties are located, is in the European side of Istanbul in a district called Sarıyer. And as one of our panelists mentioned, it is in the middle of a forest that you see here on the back, and in a very quiet environment. Our Koç University Hospital, which is where our School of Medicine and Graduate School of Health Sciences is located, it's on a more central part of the city in an area called Topkapi. But both campuses are easily accessible via public transport through being close by to metro or tramway stations, and the campus is being also reachable through public buses and shuttles that are provided by the university. So for those of you who may not be very familiar with the university, I'm just going to very quickly give an overview. So Koç University was founded in 1993. This year, we are going to be celebrating our 30th anniversary. And from the start, its vision was to become a center of excellence as a research-intensive interdisciplinary university. This word interdisciplinary really defines everything that we do, including our medical program and the opportunities for research that we provide to students as undergraduate as well. We are a small university in the context of Turkey, so we are now just over 9,000 students. Most of those are undergraduate students, and we're very proud that since the end of last year, 10% of our total student body is made up of international students who are coming from 80 or more countries. Actually, the number was updated, now it's 92 countries. However, the secret ingredient in the success story of Koç University, it's our faculty members. So we have excellent faculty members who have come from the best universities in Turkey and from abroad, from the US, from the UK, different countries in Europe, in Asia, and they have come to share their knowledge as scholars, not only as instructors or teachers, but as researchers who are trying to create new knowledge with our students. As a lot of our panelists mentioned today, another distinguishing factor is that we have a very low student-faculty ratio. So that what that means to you as a student is that you get a very personalized education experience. So people do know your name. You're not just a number or a face in the crowd. You do get the chance to meet several times during the semester with your professors, and as Sharif, one of our panelists, was mentioning, it's you really do get to work closely with them, and the network of opportunities that they offer after graduation or even during your studies is really outstanding. We, in terms of our structure, are very similar to an American university, even though we are located in Turkey. So we are structured around colleges. So we have 7 colleges, and the School of Medicine is one of those colleges, and we offer all of our programs in English. However, programs like medicine and a couple of other programs, you do need to learn Turkish, not for admission, but after you enter the university as a student in order to cope with specific course requirements. The scholarships, I know it's a very big topic. We're very proud that 70% of all of our international admitted students do receive, some type of merit scholarship support. However, for medicine, that's not available, and I will explain this a bit later. For our campus, this is just a picture, but what I would like to invite you to do is to check our Koç University International Admissions YouTube channel, because we have some great kind of aerial tours of the campus where you can see all of the different facilities from our main library, student center, dormitories, academic buildings, and more. Okay, and of course, we have all of the facilities that you would need in a residential campus experience. We do have, of course, student dormitories for our School of Medicine students. More information about this are available on our dormitories website, which you can see on the screen. We also have something that not many universities in Turkey offer, which is a dedicated team of 3 staff members that help international students with their pre-arrival bureaucratic kind of paperwork that they need to do, whether that's applying for a visa to enter Turkey, or once they are in Turkey to apply for their student residence permit, registering an address, opening a bank account, and they have a lot of very well-prepared information resources on the International Community Office website, and as well as a fully developed orientation plan, an international buddy program, and a lot of social integration activities for international students. So again, that's, you don't feel completely alone the first year that you arrive here as a new student. In terms of activities on campus, I can tell you a bit here, but the best thing is to really check our website and check our YouTube channel. So somebody asked on the questions what kind of extracurricular activities are available. So we have over 80 different student clubs. There's several sports teams, both for individual and team sports. There's a full cultural center that offers programming throughout all semesters, whether that's winter or summer or spring. So if you are staying on campus during the week, there's always something to do, either culturally or career-oriented activities that are organized by our Career Development Center, as well as just resting and enjoying the view and the nice campus that we have. So in terms of the undergraduate programs that we offered, in terms of health sciences, the programs that we offer are medicine, which is a 6-year program taught in English, but as we mentioned before, you do need to learn Turkish from the first year, okay? We also have a school of nursing, where we offer a nursing bachelor's degree of 40 years, but we do not have any programs related to pharmacy or dentistry, because that's another question that I saw a couple of our participants ask today. As a School of Medicine student, you can also choose to do things like a double major in another program that you're interested in. So we do have medical students who have done double majors into business administration, international relations, history. You really have the freedom to choose, if you manage your time well, to do that. And there is no extra tuition associated with that. Just you need to kind of be aware that it's even more hard work than what medicine already is. Professor Ruacan mentioned something about the core program, so now I want to talk a bit more in detail about this. Usually, for example, if you're considering medical programs in the US, you do a pre-med type program. In the case of Koç University, there is no pre-med, but essentially the first year of our 6-year MD degree program includes courses that are not related to medicine, but to the areas that you see on the screen, which are about, aesthetic and interpretive understanding, economics, quantitative reasoning, ethics, natural sciences, social sciences. And we do that because we want to make sure that our graduates in all programs, including medicine, are well-rounded professionals who have a good understanding of all different disciplines and can apply an open mind to solving some challenges. So when we think of, for example, global challenges like pandemics, like the one we just went through with COVID, we needed scientists who would be able to understand the social aspects of, pandemic management and, health requirements and so on. So this is why, as a future doctor, it's also important for you to learn about this. Here's just a sample of some of the courses that are offered in that core program. And as a Koç University student, you would be enrolled in some of those courses in your first and second semester of your first year. I'm going to here show very briefly, this is some of the background in terms of where our professors have obtained their PhD degrees or have extensive teaching and research experience before they joined Koç University. There are separate statistics for our School of Medicine, of course, that are available. In terms of rankings, of course, there's the overall university rankings. In that respect, we are now in one of the top 500 universities worldwide. First in Turkey, according to QS rankings in 2022. Rankings is something that you have to be careful about because it can give you an idea of which universities are good in a specific country. It doesn't necessarily tell you if the university is a good fit in terms of your learning preferences or the specific career goals that you may have according to their teaching style and so on. However, in that respect, we have done very well, considering that we are a young and small university, and we're still competing very well in different subject areas with much larger and older institutions around the world. What happens in the first year that you join Koç University? So as I mentioned, right, you're paired with an international student body, an academic advisor, you attend orientation courses and seminars. We also have a specific course called Academic and Life Skills. So you may have noticed that both our students and our professor mentioned time management as a key skill. So this is one of the things that you start to learn through this Academic and Life Skills course, or ALICE, as well as other very useful skills, such as, how to avoid procrastination, how to communicate effectively with professors, how to work in teams, how to deal with conflict, how to, attend to your mental well-being during periods of stress and stress management. So these are all things that are covered in this course, and it's a mandatory course for all students, international and Turkish. I mentioned the core program. I mentioned some of the opportunities that you have to join student clubs. Specifically in the School of Medicine, there are 10 specialized student clubs, which are specifically for medicine students. And you can find their details on the school and on the medicine website. So that's a very nice opportunity to, again, start creating networks with your classmates that are outside of the classroom. Of course, we have a career development center, but there's also a specific committee of careers in medicine, or CCIM. You can also find all of the details of the work that they do on their website, on the medicine website. And I will talk about some of the guidance and support they provide during your studies as a medical student. If you find yourself that you're struggling to cope with some of the courses, such as physics, calculus, or some other courses, then we have an Office of Learning and Teaching where they offer tutoring sessions that are done by our own students who have, for example, successfully passed some of those first year or even second year courses. And they also offer one-to-one support and workshops on specific academic skills. And of course, for medicine students, we have to kind of emphasize this a lot. You can start, or you need to start, learning or improving your Turkish language skills. How to do that? So every semester, there are Turkish language courses that you can take as electives for no extra cost that take you from a beginners to intermediate and then advanced levels. The pace of the courses may not be fast enough for you to reach, for example, a B1 level by the end of the second year, when, as Professor Ruacan was mentioning, you will need to start, learning how to write patient histories and other medical bedside skills. But again, our students, what they do, as some of our panelists mentioned as advice, is they start to make friends and join groups with Turkish speakers so that their vocabulary and fluency can move faster. Other things you can do before you graduate, of course, I mentioned you can do double majors. You can apply to do exchange or Erasmus study abroad semesters. For the School of Medicine, there are about 10 or just above 10 universities to choose from, mainly in Europe. But as one of our panelists says, sometimes it's difficult to find a curriculum that matches ours in the same semesters in terms of the courses. So summer research activities are more common or preferred by our students. Right, so now let's talk about the School of Medicine. So our School of Medicine was established in 2010. So it's actually our newest school or college within the university. And from the start, it aimed to do three things, right? First, to offer a dynamic, innovative, so something new that hadn't been done before in Turkey, and a liberal arts or liberal studies approach to medical training. This was quite new within the context of Turkey. It also aimed to apply contemporary medical practices based on research and science. So always informing what students are learning from the latest research, latest findings, latest protocols that are coming not only from Turkey, but especially from around the world. And this is very important, and something to remember is that the school prioritizes the cooperation of medicine with other sciences. This is why the image we have put here, and again, that word interdisciplinarity, it's a very long word. So What that means is that we're training doctors who are able to work effectively with professionals from engineering, from basic sciences, from computer engineering, for example. We do have a lot of work together with our School of Medicine, and you will see that as a medical student. So our School of Medicine, we abbreviate it as KUSOM, KU School of Medicine, offers a 6-year MD degree. One of the questions that I saw on the panel was what is the difference between an MBBS and an MD degree, which is more of the US American terminology. So essentially they are the same, that it's a degree that allows you to practice as a doctor here in Turkey. And with that MD degree, then you can apply for a medical specialization or a clinical specialization or residency after graduation. It is taught in English, so all of the classes, materials, course guides are in English, but Turkish proficiency of B1 or higher is required by the end of the first year and of C1 by the 4th year. Classes are held in 2 campuses. So from year 1, 2, and 3, you're in our main campus in Rumeli Feneri, and from year 4th onwards until graduation, you're most of the time or all of the time at the Koç University Hospital. And we will talk about the hospital in a couple of minutes. Another thing that our panelists remarked upon was the fact that we only accept a very small amount of students every year. It's never above 90 students. So the ratio of this, it's about 50 to 60 domestic or Turkish students who are going to be placed according to their ranking in the university entrance exam that it's held in Turkey every year, and that about 3.5 million students take every year. So the Turkish students who are entering our School of Medicine are coming usually from the top 5 or even top 1% of the test takers in that exam, based on the score that they obtain and their ranking. So these are excellent students, as Professor Ruacan had mentioned. And from the international side, we usually offered admission to a very select group of 20, maximum 25. That's been the highest number ever, 25 students of international candidates. And they're also selected on a more holistic basis, not only in terms of their test scores, but also other activities and qualities. And I will talk about them in detail in the next couple of minutes too. We're also very proud that at the moment, 14% of our School of Medicine students are international. And I will show you which countries they're coming from next, okay? So when we look at all of the cohorts that we have at the School of Medicine at the moment, you can see the countries that they're coming from. The largest group as a single country is from Azerbaijan, then Iran, Syria, Jordan, Cyprus, US, Egypt, Bulgaria, Palestine, Pakistan. So then we have, individual students who are coming from a longer number of countries. There was a question from one of our panelists if we had any students from Africa. We do. I'm trying to see here. We have students from Libya, from North Africa. We have students from Libya and from, I cannot find it right now, but it is a region where we would, of course, like to admit and welcome more students in the future. In terms of our latest cohort who entered the university in September last year, so they're now in their first year. When we look at the gender distribution, then we see we're still not at full parity of 50-50, but we're getting there. And in terms of the median SAT, that's the most common admission exam that our School of Medicine students provide for admission. The median score for medicine was 1,510. So again, we're looking for students who have performed very well in terms of their high school years, but also who are able to obtain high scores in the eligible exams, such as SAT. There were some questions about where the School of Medicine is accredited or recognized and what type of career opportunities or post-graduation opportunities that offers to people who choose to study with us. So first of all, of course, the School of Medicine is accredited in Turkey by the National Accreditation Body, which includes the Higher Education Council of Turkey and the Medical Education Programs Evaluation and Accreditation Association. The acronym is TEPDAD. In the United States, it's also accredited by the Educational Commission for Foreign Medical Graduates, which this is the qualification that medical schools need so that their graduates can enter U.S. graduate medical education programs. And it's also a requirement for those who want to take step 3 of the U.S. MLE examination and to obtain an unrestricted license to practice medicine in the United States. One of our panelists, who is in his 5th year, he mentioned in a bit more detail the type of support that it's offered by the School of Medicine to take step 1 and step 2. And basically is that our curriculum and the way that it's structured is very similar to a US medical program. So at the end, our students are pretty much ready for the structure of the examinations. And you can see on screen what were the average scores obtained by our students who have taken the step 1 and step 2 examinations and their success rate. In the United Kingdom, it's also recognized or accredited by the General Medical Council, which allows our graduates to apply for graduate clinical education in UK universities. In terms of our hospital, so Koç University Hospital opened in 2016. It's a full service hospital, and besides the facts and figures that you can see on the screen, one of the important features that I think is not often mentioned is that even though it's a private hospital, it also accepts patients that are coming with the Turkish social security system. So what does that mean? It means that, you know, the number of patients that you will see as a medical student in different clinical areas is much higher than at other private hospitals, in Istanbul at least, and the variety of cases or clinical kind of clinical cases that you're going to see, it's also more diverse. And this is very important when you're, you know, for example, studying, for example, for your curriculum in terms of neuroscience, in terms of rare diseases. So you have the opportunity to see patients who are, you know, experiencing lots of different symptoms that you see on your textbook, but you're also then seeing them clinically at the hospital. You can see more information about the hospital from the website that you can see on the screen. And just to kind of, again, summarize some of the things that have been said before, I'm not going to spend too much time. As a School of Medicine, we prioritize research. We have a full academy for education and simulation related to medicine, and one of our students tried to, he explained it, I think, very well, which is, you know, you rehearse standard patient practice using not only computer simulation, but also rooms where they have actors who come in as patients with specific diagnosis, and then you're observed by your teachers and given feedback and evaluation on that. It's a very personalized supervision and mentoring environment. We have 1.7 students per faculty member. That's extremely low when you consider other medical schools, not only in Turkey, but in the US, in the UK, Germany, and other countries. And as I said, even though it's a very young School of Medicine, it already has been internationally recognized in terms of World University rankings. For example, we're now in the top 3 universities in Turkey, according to that international ranking. And the fact that international students are choosing to come and study with us, it's also, I think, an honor for us that recognizes the quality of education that we're offering. When we look at research, I want to invite you to also check a couple of research centers that are physically hosted in our hospital. One of them is KUTAM. KUTAM stands for Koç University Center for Translational Medicine. It's amazing the work that they do, and one of the questions was to give more specific details about the type of medical research that is being done. If you can visit the website of the center, you will find in more detail all of the equipment, the projects that they're doing, and the collaboration that they have with different colleges in our university. And the other logo that you see here, which is for our research center in infectious diseases, that's a fairly new research center that has been very active in the past couple of years, of course, with the COVID pandemic, but they're doing so much more than that related to infectious diseases. And we also have a very strong public health and global health program that you may be interested in checking. Now, one of the things that I think are also different about our School of Medicine is that we are preparing students to have different options at the end of the 6th year. So you will graduate as a medical doctor, and you may choose, of course, to do your clinical master's to be a physician in medicine, either in Turkey by taking the TUS exam, or abroad, for example, if you want to go to the US or if you want to go to a different country. So you do have that option to continue in a clinical kind of direction, But there's some students that realize that they're more passionate about doing clinical research. So they may enroll, for example, in PhD programs in medicine, either in Turkey and or internationally. We also opened our new PhD program in medicine last year. Some students or some graduates may want to go into the pharmaceutical industry in an advisory role or an R&D role. So as I said, all of that training and emphasis on research is going to help you to have those doors open in case you don't want to go through the clinical route, okay? Here you can see a preview of our curriculum of 6 years. All of this information, of course, it's on the medicine website. But as you can see, the first year, you're going to take courses that are related to our core program. And then on the preclinical year 2, that's when you start taking more medicine-related courses about, for example, molecular and cellular basis of medicine, all of the different body systems. Then the third year, you start to look at specific diseases related to specific systems. And there's also some courses related to public health, which I think it's extremely important for doctors of the future. And then from the fourth year, those are the clinical years, fourth and fifth and sixth year. Then there's the areas that you can choose from in terms of pediatrics, obstetrics, general surgery, pharmacotherapy, and then you can see the rest, okay? The required areas are courses that all students have to take regardless of the specific interest that they may have. One thing that it's fairly new in our School of Medicine is, for example, now all students are required to take programming with Python introduction course, because again, you will need these skills as doctors in the future, given the latest developments that we're seeing around all areas. Okay, so I'm conscious of time, and I want to thank all of you who have stayed until now. We have run a bit late in terms of our program, but I hope the information that's coming will be useful in terms of our admissions process for medicine. So for our medicine program, there's only one intake, which is for the fall semester. The fall semester in Turkey typically starts in either mid to late August or early October. The application period to apply for admission in the case of Koç University starts in May and closes in August. So our applications will open next Monday on the 1st of May and will close on the 31st of August. However, given that we have a very limited number of places for our School of Medicine, as I mentioned, it's usually between 20 to 25 places, we strongly recommend to applicants to submit their applications as soon as the application period opens. So meaning between May or latest early June, because if offers are made to 20 applicants and they accept their offers, then there may not be places left or candidates to be evaluated after July. There is an application fee, which is approximately $20, but it's paid in Turkish lira, so it's slightly lower than this nowadays. And you can find all of the information about how to prepare your application, how to prepare each element of that application on our international admissions website. Everything is submitted online. There is no need to bring original documents to campus or to post them or anything like that. Everything is done through our online application portal, which you can see on screen. It's apply.ku.edu.tr. Then, what happens? So after you submit your application, there is an eligibility check in terms of making sure all the documents are correct and that you meet our minimum score requirements in the standard exam scores. Then your file is sent to the admissions committee and they take about 3 weeks to evaluate and have a meeting and decide on the candidates that they want to issue offers to. If you are offered admission, then you get your letter approximately 1 month after you have submitted your application. Sometimes it may take a bit longer if there's some national holidays in between the time that you have after you have submitted your application, but typically we aim to inform candidates within a month. After you receive your offer letter, you have time until the end of August, until 31st of August, to accept your offer and pay your first semester tuition fee. After you pay your first semester tuition fee, you have sort of secured your place in the program. And then you will receive a lot of information from our team in terms of how to complete your enrollment process as a new student, and all of the support that I mentioned before about bureaucratic processes such as visa, documents to prepare for the equivalency letter of your high school diploma, and more details. The thing to remember about our admission process and the evaluation that the faculty members in the School of Medicine do of international candidates is that first, it's very selective. So they are looking really for outstanding candidates. And two, that it is holistic. Holistic meaning that there isn't a single element that determines whether a candidate is offered admission or not. So only, for example, I will show you now the list of requirements. If you have a score above the minimum required in one of the eligible standardized admission exams or diplomas, it doesn't mean that automatically you're offered admission, because the faculty committee is also going to be checking your high school performance in key subjects that are relevant to medicine, for example, in biology, in chemistry. They're going to check your English proficiency results, your motivation letter, recommendation letters from teachers at your school or others that you want to ask to provide a recommendation for you. They're going to look at your video interview, and I will explain how this works. And of course, any extracurricular achievements, experience, awards, courses that you have taken part in during your high school education, or after. So that's what holistic means. So we're not able to say, for example, oh, I have an SAT score of this, can I be admitted? Unfortunately, the answer is we don't know. So because it depends on all of the other things that are listed on the screen, and the admissions committee takes a lot of care to read and examine each of those things and then decide on which candidates will be offered admission. Okay. Now, there's a couple of things I want to talk about here, which are about the motivation letter. So we have guidance on our website in terms of what to talk about, what not to talk about, how long it should be, how to use that space that you have to shine and kind of stand out in front of the admissions committee for the School of Medicine. The recommendation letters are not letters that you are going to upload to the system, but you are going to put the contact, the name and the email address of two people, ideally teachers at your school. They will receive an email from the university asking them to complete a short form where they will be writing a recommendation about how do they consider you would be a good fit for our program and why they would recommend you for, admission to our university. They have, for medicine, we strongly recommend that you remind your referees, your teachers at your school, to complete that form as soon as possible, because once those recommendation letters are in the system for your application, then that's when your file will go to the committee for evaluation. You can see on the system if your two recommenders have submitted them or not. Okay, so you can see anytime you want, you can log in and check what the status is. The video interview is something that you will also receive an email asking you to click on a link. It will open a screen. You will have time to check your camera and microphone, and then you're going to be shown 3 questions. You will only be able to record your answer to each question once. You cannot redo your answer for a question. The questions are not knowledge-based, so it's not about your knowledge of medicine or chemistry or maths or anything like that. It's more about you as a person, your motivation to study at Koç University medicine, your qualities as a team player, for example, things that you enjoy, things you think will be challenging. So it's more about your expectations and your personal traits as a candidate. And finally, regarding extracurricular activities, not all of the activities need to be related or pointing towards an interest in medicine. For example, if you have started to learn programming, if you're in your school's volleyball team, if you have done internships in an IT company, that all counts, right? That what's important is that you're able to demonstrate to the admissions committee how those experiences have helped you prepared to become a successful student in university. What skills, knowledge have you gained from those activities by participating in competitions, earning medals, participating in student clubs in your school? How does that help you to be a better university student in the future and to cope with the very demanding, time requirements of a medical program and to balance that with other responsibilities you may have. Now we're going to talk about minimum requirements on the eligible admission exams. So on the screen, there's several of this, but on the screen, you can see what are the minimum scores on the most commonly submitted admission exams that are also eligible for our School of Medicine. The most popular, let's say, exam for admission is the SAT exam. You can find information about this exam on the collegeboard.org website. I can also put the address in the chat before we finish today's session. The minimum score for medicine is 1,450 out of 1,600. Alternatively, you can also apply with an ACT score. You can see the minimum score on screen. If you have been taking AP courses in your school, then you can also apply with your AP courses instead of an SAT test score. You can see on the screen what are the number of exams, what are the subjects. Of course, preferably they should be from sciences track and with a minimum score of 5. But in the case of calculus specific, it should be a minimum score of 5. For those of you who are enrolled in the IB program to obtain an IBDP, you should have a final or a predicted grade of 38 out of 42. We are not counting the 3 points from the theory of knowledge essay and other elements. These should be from 6 subjects and of course, preferably from mathematics, chemistry, and biology at high level. Regarding the students who are coming from A-level curriculum schools, you can also apply with either your final or your predicted A-level grades in 3 subjects where you should have grades of A or A star, in relevant subjects. So preferably again from sciences or mathematics groups. There's not a specific combination of subjects that we require, but typically applicants would have, for example, mathematics and biology and chemistry, or physics, biology and chemistry, and so on. There are some applicants who have already, for example, done a pre-med program in the US, and they have prepared or have already taken the MCAT exam. You can also apply with this test. Or if you have already, you're coming from an undergraduate degree in the US as a pre-med student, you can also apply with this. There's other national diplomas or exam results that you can submit for admission. This includes the Unified State Exam from Russia. I know there are some participants today from Russia, so we wanted to highlight this. From Kazakhstan, you can apply with your also Unified National Test, or if you're from one of the Nazarbayev intellectual schools, you can also provide your NIS A levels, again, with grades of A star or A in relevant subjects. If you're coming from a French baccalaureate type curriculum school, then the minimum final grade, the minimum average grade would be 17 with all subjects with 15 or higher. And if you're coming from Germany or Austria, then for example, you can see what are the minimum scores for admission. There's for example, candidates coming from India. We have seen a lot of interest from candidates from India in recent years. So from this year onwards, we're also accepting the Central Board of Secondary Education and the CISCE examinations, and you can see the minimum scores on the screen. All of this information, of course, it's also available on our international.ku.edu website under the undergraduate programs, how to apply page. You will find it as international exams, and then you can check by country if your country's specific national exam or examination is accepted. Another one of the requirements is providing an eligible English proficiency exam result test score. In the case of Koç University, these are the exams that are eligible. It's either TOEFL, IBT, Pearson, CAE, CPE, or there's a Turkish administered exam called YDS or İEDS. But if you're not in Turkey, that's not applicable. So the most common presented exam by international applicants is the TOEFL exam or the Pearson exam. The minimum scores are 80 for TOEFL or 67 for Pearson. The most important thing for the English proficiency exam is that you should make sure that you have shared the electronic results with Koç University as a recipient university, so that our registrar's team can validate your results and be able to send your application for evaluation. The same thing applies for the ACT, the SAT test, and your A levels and IB diploma, so that they can be verified electronically. Okay. Other universities in Turkey offer an internal university administered English proficiency exam at the start of the academic year. Koç University was also doing that until last year, but from fall 2023 onwards, we're not going to be able to do that. So all students who are offered admission, including for the School of Medicine, in order to enroll as a new student, they will need to provide one of the English proficiency exams that are listed on the screen. Now, in terms of tuition fees for the upcoming academic year, for the School of Medicine, it's $29,500. There are no scholarships either on the basis of academic merit or financial need for international applicants. So this is something very important that you need to keep in mind when you're considering whether you should submit an application for admission or not. The students who have been supported through scholarships is through external scholarships that they can obtain from other funding sources, whether that's from their own country's government or non-for-profit organizations in their country or internationally, or from private sponsors that decide, to sponsor students for a specific cause. So this is something to keep in mind when you're applying. Okay, so that's the end of our presentation. Here, there's 3 things that I want you to remember. Of course, our website, our email address. If you have any questions in the process of deciding whether to apply, how to apply, you can email us. But as I said, today was a chance to meet some of our students, a small but important part of our international medicine students. But if you check also our YouTube channel or Instagram account or our new TikTok account, which is KU International, it will also give you a good idea of what it's like to be a student at Koç University and to help you make an informed decision. So I'm gonna now check the questions again. All right, let's see. And let me check the time. So we should have about 10 more minutes to answer your questions. So I'm going to go through this to make sure that I have covered everything. So we have covered admission requirements, standardized tests, documents. We have talked about the requirements for IB students. There was a question about the PhD for pharmaceutical science. No, we don't offer any. I mean, we do have some programs in our graduate school of health sciences. So I will put in the chat the website address so you can check their website to see if there's any programs that fit your specific needs. Okay, and let me just mark this to keep an order on this. Okay. Scholarships we have mentioned. So there are no scholarships for medicine students at Koç University. There are other universities in Turkey that do offer scholarships for medicine programs. So make sure that you check well before making a decision on where you're going to apply. There is a question, how are job opportunities in Turkey for an international student after graduating from Koç University? So that's a question that I forgot to pose to our professor or to our students, but essentially it depends on whether, for example, if you prepare yourself to take the TUS, which is a Turkish specialization exam to do your clinical residency in Turkey, then of course there's some technical paperwork you have to finish, but then you can practice as a doctor in Turkey in a Turkish public or private hospital or other health organizations. There's a question from Hajira. Is there a specific requirement in regards to high school GPA? No. So what's more important is what the faculty committee is looking for is that you have some foundation in subjects like biology and chemistry, and also in mathematics and physics, because even though you're going to be a medicine student and a doctor, in the first year, as we offer the core program, you will be taking some mathematics and some physics courses. So they want to make sure you have some foundation and that the grades that you obtain in those courses are very good, okay? And let's see. There was a great question from Rafik. What would be an ideal candidate for Koç University apart from good grades and SAT scores? That's an excellent question. What we have seen as the international admissions team, because we're not responsible for the decision of admission for international students, but more about giving guidance. But we can see the data from previous years and how admitted students perform after they enter the program, right? And what makes an ideal candidate is someone who, from their high school years, has already started to demonstrate great time management skills, the ability to cope with high levels of responsibilities and stress. And that can be from different sources, but that despite all of that, they're able to maintain their high academic performance. People who have a clear inclination for research is something else. It's something that we also observed in the most successful students and students who are offered admission, is that even in high school, they have started to show evidence of that, whether that's a short internship that they have done in a laboratory or doing projects in schools or anything like that. It's always a plus, okay? So those are three things that come to mind in answering this question. Another question from Eje is, how is the mentoring there? If I don't know what to do, who can I reach out to? So the mentoring in terms of academic issues is done by an academic advisor that it's assigned to each student. So as a student, you would have your academic advisor to ask questions related to, for example, which courses you can enroll or drop, should you drop courses or not in one semester if you're overloaded, those sort of things. Then you also have an international student body during your first year, which is more about the adaptation of living in a new country with a new language, with new customs and so on. So they're there to support in that way. And we also have, of course, like different support offices, whether that's psychological counseling and this academic and life skills program that I mentioned before. If it's, for example, an academic support that you need for a specific course, I mentioned we have an office of learning and teaching where they have tutoring hours for pretty much all of the key programs. They have boot camps specific to calculus and maths more broadly that you can also attend. So again, is it possible to get a fully funded scholarship? No. What are the requirements for an A-level student? So I'll repeat that. So you should have at least 3 subjects with A star or A-level grades, ideally in a combination of maths and chemistry and biology or physics. And they can be your predicted grades. So for that, you apply with the letter issued by your school where they state what are your predicted grades. And both for IB and A-level students, what they would receive if they're offered admission is a conditional offer letter. So once you receive your final grades in August, and if the grades match, the final grades match your predicted grades, then you get a full acceptance letter and you're able to enroll at the university. If your final grades do not match your predicted grades, then you're not able to enroll at the university. Okay, let's check a few more questions. There was a question about master's degree in neuroscience. What I would do is I would like to invite you to check our Graduate School of Health Sciences. They may be organizing some information sessions in the next month as their applications will be opening soon or have just opened. And you can ask those questions there. Okay. So AP courses are also eligible. If you have AP courses, you do not have to also provide an SAT test score if your AP courses are with grades above the minimum required for our School of Medicine. Okay. There was a question from Miral. What is your world ranking in all medical schools? So again, we are in the top 500 medical schools worldwide, according to the Times Higher Education subject rankings for clinical and health programs. There are, of course, other rankings. Those are the ones that we are ranked in. What subjects are required in class 12 for admission? Is it physics, chemistry, biology? So as I said, there's no specific combinations, but Normally, students have taken up to year 12 chemistry and biology courses, and rather than physics, it's important that you show that you have taken some math courses because it will be a required component of the first year. Are you required to take TOEFL or IELTS exam for enrollment? Yes. For application, you can submit your application without it if you don't have a TOEFL exam yet or a Pearson test of English yet, for example. But if you're offered admission, you will need to provide one before the start of classes so that you can enroll as a student. One thing is that at the moment, we are not accepting the IELTS exam because it's not allowed by the Higher Education Council of Turkey. We know that there are other universities in Turkey that may accept it. In our case, we are not accepting that. Yes, I've answered this question. So there's a question. I have two nationalities, one of which is Turkish. What nationality will I be considered for if I apply to the university? So if your Turkish nationality is not by birth, but that you have obtained it after, then I mean, you're considered an international student. The only difference is that you will be able to pay your annual education tuition in Turkish lira if you wish, and not in dollars. And the amount is slightly lower in Turkish lira than in dollars. If you are a double citizenship student and your citizenship by birth is Turkish, then you have to go through a process of renouncing your Turkish citizenship, and we have information about that in our registrar's website. You can also email us for more details, and we are happy to provide you on how to go through the process. But in the case of second nationality being Turkish, then you're considered an international student. Okay. All right, we had a lot of questions today, so I think we have answered pretty much. There was a question about siblings. So if I have a sibling at the university, will I be eligible for a standard sibling discount? Yes. So your tuition would apply a discount based on your sibling already being a student here. Okay, let's check. Okay, I think we have. So just to repeat, our annual tuition is $29,500 per year. MBBS is the equivalent of the MD degree here in Turkey. There is a question from Elham that I'm going to kindly ask if you can ask us via email, because I do need to double check this if it's recognized by an organization called FIMER. That's the first time I have seen that specific name. I know we are recognized by the ECFMG accreditation body in the US. So I would need to double check about the other organization that you're mentioning in your question. Okay. There's a question here from Hajira. Thank you. So you will be getting your SAT score in the beginning of June. Throughout the years, how fast has the quota been fulfilled? So as I said, because it's a small quota, usually by end of July, first week of August, the admitted students have confirmed their offers. So at that point, we are not able to make offers to new students, even though they may have already submitted an application. So they are informed of this. So this is why we strongly recommend it. As soon as you receive your SAT results at the beginning of June, then you submit your application so that you can get a decision by early July, okay? And then confirm your offer accordingly. Okay. There's a question, can I apply with an SAT score of 1,340? No, I mean, you're free technically to submit your application with that SAT score, but you will not be, your file will not be sent for evaluation to the committee, and you will receive a rejection. So our recommendation would be, if possible, try to take the SAT test again and obtain a score well above our minimum. Our minimum is 1,450, and the median score of the students who were admitted last year was 1,510. So that should give you an idea of what you should be aiming for in terms of your performance in the exam. Another question from Elham, is the campus close to the center of the city? Not really. So door to door, for example, from Taksim metro station, which is not the center, but it's one of the commercial kind of entertainment centers of the city. Of course, Istanbul is a 50 million massive metropolis. So from Taksim to our campus, door to door, is 1 hour by public transport. But you will see that in Istanbul, that's the average time it takes you to get to most places, between 45 minutes to 1 hour, either in public transport or by car because of traffic and just distances. So it is not close, but it is reachable by public transport. Do you have students from Afghanistan? In the School of Medicine, no, but in other programs, yes, we do. Okay, let's check this. To recap, what type of questions are asked during the online interview? Of course, we cannot give you a list beforehand, but really they're more about your motivation to study medicine or to study at Koç University, your preferences. So our recommendation is, in order not to be so nervous about this activity, is you can start practicing in front of a mirror, answering questions for a couple of minutes, like 2 minutes. That's the time that you will have to answer each question, so that you don't find yourself being cut short because you didn't structure your answers and in that time. So that's our recommendation. Okay. Right, in terms of email and contact, it's the one you see just below my picture here. It's study@ku.edu.tr. That's our team email, and we are checking that inbox every day, and we aim to reply to all queries within 48 hours. Of course, during the busiest application periods, we may not be able to answer everyone in 48 hours. We do our best, but keep in mind that most of the answers to the questions that are sent are available on our website. So first check the website. If you cannot find the answer there, then email us. We have a very long FAQ, frequently asked questions sections, that it's also very useful. And we have a lot of videos on our YouTube channel that also answers detailed questions about how to complete the online application form. Is there a chance that these minimum scores may change next year? We don't know yet. So there was a revision for other colleges from last year to this year. For the School of Medicine, that may be the case, but we don't know yet. It depends, they constantly check how the minimum scores are helping them to select students who perform well in their first and subsequent years. So, based on data, then they start to also recommend whether an increase in minimum scores may be needed or not. But as of right now, there's no decision. So you should prepare yourself, for example, to obtain the minimum scores as of this year. So there's a question from Mahnur about Pakistan, where there is a system of FSC or HSSC pre-medical in place of A levels. Unfortunately, that's not a system that we're currently considering as an eligible admission document or test or diploma. Of course, we're constantly looking at how can we increase the diversity of our student body, and for Pakistan, it's something that we need to check. But as of right now, you would need to have A levels. O levels are also not eligible, so you would need to have A levels. Can I just apply with my GPA? No. I mean, if you do that, you will be rejected fairly quickly. So if I'm from India, but you have not taken CBSE or CISE, then what happens? So our recommendation you can apply with an SAT test score or ACT test score, if those are options available to you. Okay, let's check. There was a question that I'm sorry I missed during the earlier part about how students are evaluated academically. Are tutoring services free? Yes, tutoring services are free. In terms of the evaluation, it really depends on each course. But for the year 2 and onwards medical courses, it really it's a mix of course, exams, written exams, practical exams. There's some group activities that are evaluated and other individual ones. but more information about this is also available on the website. A question also about India, very important. So NEET is an all India level competitive exam for medicine. Will you consider those marks? As of this year, no, because they're not in our current list of eligible exams. But in the future, again, our professors are always looking for how can we, offer the opportunity to study here to a wider pool of applicants. So they will be, with our team, we will be doing more research about NEET and how we can set appropriate minimum scores for admission to the university. So that may come in the future, but as of this year, it's not one of the eligible exams. If you have already taken that exam and you have very good results, feel free to include them in your application as a supporting document, because it can give the panel an idea of your intention to study medicine either in India or abroad. Does this school allow students to do rotations internationally? Is Koç University part of VSIO? The part about VSIO, I would need to double check with the School of Medicine and get back to you. So if you drop us an email with this question, then we will provide the answer. In terms of rotations internationally, it's more during the summer, so not during the clinical years 1 and 2, but more during the summer breaks that students usually take that time to do research, study abroad activities, not so much clinical rotations. But are they allowed? Yes. So in theory, there is that opportunity. It's about finding a university that will have the exact rotation opportunities in the same semester that you want to go abroad. Is there any fee waiver due to academic performance throughout the university years? No. We do have a need-based scholarship, but that's in case of extreme financial hardship. If a student, for example, finds themselves completely unable to cover their tuition fee for a specific semester or a year due to family circumstances, then there's an application process for that. But again, it's very limited, the number of students that can be supported. Do you consider A-level retaking applicants? Yes, that's okay. That's no problem. You can apply. Does the university offer skipping the first year if a student holds a bachelor's degree in healthcare? We cannot tell you yes or no in advance. So you would need to apply for admission. If you're offered admission, then once you have enrolled, you can submit a petition to the School of Medicine so that they can evaluate the courses that you took in your bachelor's degree and see which courses can be considered equivalent to ours and how many credits can be transferred into our program. And in that way, yes, skip some courses. They may not be able to waive all courses for the first year or even second year, but they may be able to waive or transfer some. If I get a high score in SAT and also do APs and I get an acceptance based on my SAT, will I still get a conditional acceptance? No. So if you're applying with your SAT score and it's well above the minimum, then it's usually a full admission offer. Okay. Will you accept distance certificate for TOEFL or well, GRE is not an eligible exam for undergraduate admissions, it's for graduate admissions. But in terms of the at-home or online-based test, unfortunately, no. Because it's also not accepted by the Higher Education Council of Turkey for any university in Turkey. If we apply with A levels, do we skip the first year of med school? Don't skip, but we do have an opportunity, which is if you scored A star in mathematics, chemistry, biology, or physics, then you can ask to be exempted from taking our equivalent mathematics, physics, chemistry, or biology courses. That's if you score an A star grade, a final A star grade in those subjects. More information about this is also on our How to Apply page on the website. What's the percentage of the sibling discount? It's 5%. Okay, let's just check. I'm getting to the end of the questions and we're almost, oh, well, Thank you, Hajira, for your nice comment. I'm glad that you joined and that you found it useful. There's a question, is the YOS test accepted? That's the TERE YOS. It's a fairly new exam that was introduced this year. So it is one of our eligible tests. You can find the minimum scores on the website. I didn't include them in my presentation today, simply because I forgot, but you can find the information on the website. From Hajira, so has the website technical glitch regarding to potential exchange? Yes, so I checked a couple of days ago, and the list of partner universities around the world is now working, so you can filter by faculty and choose School of Medicine, and it's going to show you the list of universities. Sorry, it's going to show you the list of universities that are available for exchange. That's my toddler in the background. Sorry. Okay, so are there exams I must take to apply? So we have talked about the exams external. We do not offer any internal admission exams for our School of Medicine, nor for any other undergraduate program. That's the last question. If I don't study mathematics, can I still apply for medical school? It's not ideal, but if you can showcase that you have studied some mathematics at some point during part of your high school education, that will be useful, because there will be a mathematics course in the first year. So we want to make sure that all of our students can pass those courses and do well and be able to progress to the next year. So either at school or off school, mathematics learning that you can do, it's always a positive. So thank you so much, Narges, Dunel, for your nice comments, and thank you for staying until very late today or early morning, or wherever you are joining us from today. That's the end for today's session. As I said, this webinar has been recorded. We will put it on our YouTube channel, and you will receive the recording link also by tomorrow. So thank you, everyone who stayed until the end, and I hope you have a very good weekend ahead, and we look forward to receiving your applications either this year or in the future if you're still in the early years of your high school education. So thank you very much and have a good day.